Hey everyone, my name is Vita Evenson, and this is Tiny Studio Big Ideas podcast, where we talk about creativity and beyond your studio space. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about what to do, how to create, how to cultivate your studio space, especially if it's a tiny space or not a space at all. Here are some ideas that I have used over the years in different settings, and I'm going to pass them on to you and see if they can help you if you are in a tight space or cannot find a space, and some ways to cultivate your own studio, because essentially for all creative people, your studio is in here first. Of course, you need to have a physical space to do your painting or your creative desires, your creative act, whatever it is that you do. But again, I'm going to focus on painting because that is what I do. So the first thing that you have to do to begin to cultivate and nourish your inner creative realm is to have some kind of physical space. Now, what can that mean? When I started out, it was a kitchen table, right? And the kids were running around and stuff was happening. It was very distracting. And, y- you know, um, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who know exactly what I mean. And uh, oftentimes I would move to a little nook somewhere in the house that I thought maybe would be um, I could be more present in that place. I could, have some space. I wouldn't be disturbed. Uh, there were other times when I actually used the bedroom floor because there was no room for um, an easel. I didn't have an easel at the time. I had a broken easel. I can't remember where I got it. I think somebody gave it to me, but it was broken, so I couldn't raise it up, so I had to sit on the floor. Okay, I did, and, there were ways that I could move into my creative state even if I was on the floor of a bedroom in somebody else's house. And, you know, probably the most adaptable studio that you can move throughout your home, even if it's just a studio apartment, depending on what space feels best to you, you can move it around there, but you can also take it outside. And yes, that is a plein air setup. Whether or not you are a plein air painter, they are great. These plein air setups, you have your box, it opens up. Um, or some kind of easel that you're using, and you can just move it anywhere you want. You can pack it up, put it in a bag, and take it with you. You can take it just outside your door if it's a good day on your balcony somewhere, and for that time, that is your studio. uh, Probably my favorite setup, because it's so versatile and you can keep it inside and use it inside in your home as your own studio space, or take it out or pack it up and take it with you when you're going on a vacation somewhere. It's the most versatile setup. But let's go back to what it means to create your creative space, your studio, your little tiny studio. Uh, One of the main things, um, after you have decided on your space, whether it be the kitchen table, a little nook and cranny somewhere, maybe you have an oversized closet and you can just like put light in there and just, like, empty it out and use that, or, um, whatever space works for you. Uh, the most important thing, um, is to actually communicate it out to your family, to your roommates, but most importantly, you must speak out your intentions and your needs to yourself. I know it sounds kind of strange, and it certainly was strange to me when I was doing that. But I personally needed to hear the words. I needed the sound waves to go out of my mind in that abstract, flimsy shadow area of my thoughts and bring it down into something more concise, something that I could hear, something that was just something more physical, more manifest, rather than living up here uh, in that very abstract realm. And that was a very, very, very important thing for me to do, to speak it out. And I looked in the mirror and told myself that I need this creative space. I need these hours to be in that space. And that made it easier for me, because that's just the type of person that I am. I don't wanna bother people. I don't want them to, I don't wanna put anybody out, and it kind of forced me to own my space and own the things that I needed to continue to paint, even though I didn't have an actual studio. And that created more of by speaking it out to myself, it created the level. I'm getting mixed up with my words in Greek. Um, the plane, the space to communicate those needs to the people that I cared about, to my family. I And then once you have established your space, once you have communicated it to yourself and others, to take up your time to own the space, get in and personalize it, right? Any little thing that helps you feel beautiful when you come to that space, even if it's your plein air easel. Maybe you have little stickers on your easel, or maybe something that you that brings you a smile when you come to that space. What we're trying to do is, even though you may be in a tiny, cramped little space, or not have a space, and you're dealing with a kitchen table, a corner of the room, your backpack as your studio, you want to cultivate positive feelings and emotions toward your studio, whatever that studio may be. And personalizing it in some way just gives you a little bit more of that, this is my space, and you're owning your studio space. Okay, so how do you cultivate that studio space? And now we're moving from the backpack of your plein air setup, or your kitchen table, or your little nook and cranny, or if you have a tiny space that you can actually go into. The most important area of your studio is your inner space, your inner home, your inner creativity. Um, and cultivating and nourishing that space. And here are some of the things that I did and I still do to continually nourish my creative muse, to continually feed into the positive thoughts about creating, about coming to my space and taking out my paintbrushes and painting and creating and working uh, with what I have now. And of course, uh, probably one of the best things, easiest things to do, even though sometimes for some people it's really, really hard, including for myself, is to sit in meditation for 10 minutes, just sitting there. No, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just sit there and focus on your breath. When your thoughts go off, you just bring it back to the breath, and all you're doing is releasing your focus on the outer world and bringing it to your inner world. And that is, I think, the quickest and the easiest thing to do. I really only need 10 minutes. If I sit for 20 minutes, then, that's great, but I don't usually. And it's enough. It really is. It's enough. The other thing that I do is bring out my journal and kind of clear out and empty out my thoughts. It's another form of meditation, essentially, journaling. And there's a couple of things that I like to do. If I am in a negative state and I'm thinking, "Oh, I wanna have this big, beautiful studio," because I do think that once in a while. I wanna have this, with wooden floors and rugs and all these beautiful spaces that I see so many artists have. But, here on this tiny little Greek island, in this little house, I don't have that space. So I have to find ways to release those negative thoughts and those negative attachments to the idea and expectation of what I should have, rather than just loving what I already have. So, my journaling practice, when I get in a negative space like that and I start feeling tight and cramped, is I'll just start writing out all the negative stuff going on in my mind, swear words and all. I mean, everything. And it takes, really about a minute and a half of writing it out for it to, sometimes it can only be 30 seconds, but, sometimes it can take about a minute and a half of just writing it out and just purging, these negative thoughts. It's a way of giving, the negative thoughts voice and getting them out of your head, because if you don't actually process them in some way, they just kind of remain up here and can torment you very quietly and relentlessly, and just pull you down on that curve going downwards. And so when I do this, I write it out on a sheet of paper. I don't really do it in my journal. And when I've got it all written out and it's just kind of taken care of, and my ego thinks that it has been heard and acknowledged, I take that little piece of paper and bring it to the fireplace and let it burn and just release it. It's my little practice of releasing my negative thoughts. Um, If I am with my journal and writing and I'm doing a gratitude practice, it really is a positive and affirmative feeling to write out how much you love your studio space, how important the studio space is to you and to your creativity, to that creative muse that comes in through you and creates with you and through you. And the more you do that kind of practice, uh, it becomes a state of being. And that is, that's just super cool. And I do that almost every day. I get up in the morning, I make my coffee, and I sit down and journal. And always in my journal entries, there is um, a half a page, 2 pages, it just all depends, of gratitude, of writing out, uh, everything that I am thankful for all that I have right now. And it's it's probably my favorite, it's probably my most important, uh, studio practice that I have personally. Another thing is when things are, uh, untidy and cluttered, and, for me, I can't handle a cluttered space, it really, really chops up my creative realm, my flow, it just I can't do it. So, I will take 15 minutes and quickly tidy up, and oftentimes that is enough for me to come into my creative space, a kitchen table, this tiny studio, uh, my plein air backpack space, the little corner on the floor somewhere, wherever your studio is. For me, oftentimes that was enough. When I had everything tidy and in place, it seemed like my mental clarity clear. There's not enough, so much clutter around, and I was able to move into the kitchen table studio much easier and with intention and with purpose because I had the space within me in my mind and uh, my visual um, uh, my visual field was tidy, and that is important to me. And no, I am not a clean freak type. I'm pretty messy, but just tidying up enough uh, uh, really, really helped a lot. So that might be something you want to try. One of the most uh, um, important, or one of the biggest um, things that helped me not only in my studio space but in all of my daily life was I picked up this laughing therapy thing where I would just laugh for a minute, fake laugh. And uh, I was incredibly surprised at how beautiful that was. If you just make yourself laugh, and I mean like look in the mirror, and even if you don't feel like it, even if you're confused, depressed, just blah, whatever, you look in the mirror at yourself and go, let me see if I can get this. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. See, it's coming. Ha, ha. Okay. And every single time, it brings a smile to my face, and I just automatically almost immediately, within 30 seconds, feel so much better, and it just releases any tension and stress because the act of laughing, fake laughing, putting your lips in a smile, and it will release serotonin, and you will immediately feel better. I swear it works. It works, and it's one of my favorite things to do. When I'm in a really, really bad state, take a pencil or a pen, stick it in your mouth, uh, and it forces your lips, the curves, at the end, to move up into, I mean, a real fake smile. I mean, if you're feeling awful, it's it's really hard to laugh, but even so, just putting a pencil in your mouth or a pen, be careful, don't put it in your mouth, but, uh, even if you do just that, it will still release the serotonin in your mind. The chemical reaction will change, and you'll just feel better. Try that. And of course, the other thing that I love to do, which is another serotonin releasing, dopamine releasing practice, is I go down for a cold swim in the Aegean in the winters, and that will always make me feel really good, just like the laughing therapy one. If I can't get down to the sea, I will just take a cold shower or a cold bath. And you don't need to do it for very long. If you can do it for a minute, that's great. If you can do it for 3 minutes, that's even better. You will feel amazing afterwards. If you absolutely can't do the cold shower thing, I understand that. I just started doing it in the last 2 years. I have always been a very, very cold person. I wanted the hottest showers, the hottest baths I could get. And, those were very relaxing and made me feel nice. So do that if you are not inclined to turn on the cold water and get into a state of cold shock and revitalize and re-energize your body. So those are the tricks that I use. Oftentimes, some of the more minor things is lighting some incense, or I light a candle, and it is my studio candle, where when I light the candle, immediately I come into a more responsive space. And usually I do that with meditation, or when I come into my studio practice, wherever that might be. And of course, in today's world, thank gosh, we have headphones and music. So, a very, very positive thing for me as well is I put on my earphones and listen to, I personally listen to a lot of classical music, very kind of mellow classical music. Lately, I don't know why. In my journaling practice, I'm listening to choral music, which when I was younger in high school, I was in the choir, so that may be my affinity for that. It's not something that I listened to over all these years, but now I just really love it. And or like binaural beats might be something that to help get your brain waves in a meditative state. There's all sorts of things out there that you can listen to. Whatever floats your boat. I mean, that's what you do. Whatever is going to get you into that space, go for it. So the essence of all of this is to simply uh, choose your space, communicate your needs for creativity and for your purpose to yourself and to others around you. Maybe you can work out a time that is for you, where your partner can take care of the kids, put them to bed, whatever, and you have your space. Um, and You need to personalize your space, because giving it uh, a physical uh, um, a physical, I can't find the right word again, of you, a physical uh, um, momentum, ornament, something that defines you in some way, will help you bring yourself to that space, even if it's on the floor of the bedroom. That this is your space. This is where you are going to let your creativity flourish and open, and you will create the things that you want to create. And You need to nourish, cultivate your creative space by, meditation, through journaling, doing a 15-minute cleanup, or taking a cold shower, laughing therapy. Just make yourself laugh. It's pretty funny, and it'll just uplift your spirits and get your dopamine and serotonin um, in that feel-good state, so that no matter where you are, no matter what your studio looks like, it's a beautiful place for your creativity to flourish and grow. And, you can get in touch with your authentic self, which lives in this space, and expand beyond the tiny little physical space that you are in. And I mean, that's what I do in here. I now have this space, and this is all it is, from wall to wall, right? I mean, that's it. And basically the same. And it's this little square box. And on the back side of this camera that I am talking to all of you, is a little bathroom. So, I mean, I am not in a beautiful, expansive, wow, studio space. I don't have that, but I have this. And if I didn't have this, I have this. So no matter where I am, I'm creating. No matter what my space looks like, no matter how frustrating it might feel, I find ways to release my expectations, and to embrace the creative flow coming through me. And that's what it's all about. So thanks so much for listening. I'd love it if you shared your experience of your tiny studio. And if you happen to have a large, beautiful studio, a lot of the things that I talked about here also are valid for people who have big, beautiful spaces. Um, the practice of nourishing your creativity, that presence of being in the zone, I think is pretty important for all studio spaces. But talk to me about what you do have, if you have a small space, no space, a backpack for your plein air, alternative studio setup. Let me know what your experiences are, and stay tuned for the next podcast coming up on Tuesday, where we will dive deeper into creativity and the creative realm. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Be inspired, be creative, and be you.